that you can't just have one revenue stream. If the only money you make is from selling sports cards, you're in trouble. Hello everyone and welcome back to EDI Sports Show. If you clicked on the thumbnail, then you know what we're going to talk about this week is why it's so hard for you to sell your cards. That's right. You know that your cards are worth X amount book value or by the comps, but the problem is it's not so easy to sell them. They're worth $100, but you can't find anyone who will pay $100. Wouldn't it be so nice if selling was so much easier? Now, we're going to talk about that this week, but here's a quick preview of everything else in this week's show. To kind of dispel, or the mystery or the confusion or even the fantasy that a lot of people have in the hobby, which is that if you buy a card for X amount, it's always going to be worth more in the future. Now, if you don't know the news, yes, Sports Card Radio I don't collect just rookie cards. And I think that might be the mistake for a lot of people in the hobby that just get into it. Because the rookie cards are always worth more than the other card. As you can see, we have a huge show to get through this week. This is the final show for 2024. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button right now. But here is the first thing that I want to go over this week, and then we'll get to the thumbnail of the show. First of all, I am a Mets fan, and I'm recording this on December 10th, 2024, and I'm going on record to say that I think signing Juan Soto to $765 million was a bad idea. I know that a lot of Met fans are going to probably be like, what? But Juan Soto's a generational talent. I really don't care. I think that if Steve Cohen was smart, he should have gone all the way up to $760 million and then pulled the plug and let the Yankees ruin their franchise for the next decade. Because with $500 million, you could have bought every player you needed for your team to win a World Series, which I thought was the whole point. So I don't understand what exactly is going on, because at this point, the Mets have a lot of holes. You have Juan Soto, that's great, but who's playing second base? And who's playing first base? And who's your backup catcher? And what about your starting pitching? And the Mets had problems in their bullpen last year. This team overperformed last year, and I'm not sure that with Juan Soto, they're going to make the playoffs. That's the problem. Going on record just saying that I think the Juan Soto deal was a mistake on the Mets' part. It is ego, and that's actually what we're going to get into when we're talking about selling cards. So that's the first segment in this show, is selling your cards. What is the problem? Your cards are worth X amount according to the book value or according to comps. Your card is worth $100, and yet you can't seem to find anyone who will pay $100. One thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to show you this card just sold for only $30, as you can see. Now, why am I looking for a Bill Bradley rookie card? Okay, yes, I'm from New York. Obviously, I like the Knicks. But I actually went to high school in New Jersey, and I met Bill Bradley when I was a senior in high school. Yes, at a leadership conference at Montclair State University. Not only that, but I sat next to Bill Bradley. He sat on my jacket. I don't know. He didn't notice that. I was sitting there trying to pull it out from under him. He's a big guy. And then later on in life, I actually worked for his campaign for presidency, and because I worked in New Jersey politics as well. So one of the things that I would like is I'd like to get his rookie card. Now, the prices for what his rookie card is worth are around, for raw, it's probably about a $10 to $20 card. Raw, it is what it is. It's worth less being graded, which is interesting. But that's kind of the point, is that you need to know what the market is for your cards. Unfortunately, people are trying to charge more for their cards. And that's where you guys are getting yourselves into trouble, is because you think that your card is worth X amount, and then when you go to sell it, it's really not worth X amount. Again, what's the book value? What's the comps? And so here's the issue that I would like to kind of dispel, or the mystery or the confusion or even the fantasy that a lot of people have in the hobby, which is that if you buy a card for X amount, it's always going to be worth more in the future. And that's not the truth. If you buy a card for X amount, it may not be worth more in the future. In fact, probably it's going to be worth either the same or less than what you paid for it. And that seems to be what keeps getting people burned all the time, because they're like, but I bought it for X, it should be worth more. And it's like, no, that's not reality. Reality is that the market, the sports card market specifically, since there's no actual market, it's just a flea market, which is totally different from an actual asset market. So when it's a flea market, you have to deal with people's buying demands. Demand pushes price. That's the sports card hobby. Demand pushes price. So if there's a high demand for a certain card, that's going to push the price up. If the demand suddenly goes away, then the prices start to fall. Hopefully that's starting to sink in for all the people that are subscribed to this channel, and there's over 2,000 of you right now. So my point is that even if the book or the comps say that your card is worth X amount, you really need to do some additional research to find out what's the demand for those cards. Now, a couple weeks ago, I gave you the demand for the top 5 players in the hobby, and demand means how many times that card sells. And if you want to find out demand, this is how you do it on eBay, right? So here you go. You just go to eBay, you put in the player's name, and then you go to this side section right here, and you will see the number of listings. Well, you gotta click on sold. Click on sold first, and then you will go and see the number of listings sold. That's your demand. And if you have less than 50,000 cards being sold on eBay, the demand is not that high. Okay, so really 50,000 is where you start to go like, oh, okay, this is a player that I should pay attention to. Now, if you want to make a secondary list, so let's say tier 1 is 50,000 or more, okay? Tier 2 is under 50,000 to around 30,000. So 30 to 50 is tier 2, and then tier 3 is obviously everybody that's less than that, but more than 10,000. So 10 to 30,000. The reason you want these 3 tiers is because you want to track, is this 10 to 30 player starting to catch fire? And if they are, those prices are going to go up. Now, if there's less demand than 10,000, then your player is irrelevant. Literally, nobody cares. And that's my point, is that some of the players that you own, no one's buying. No one's buying. So I'm going to show you what Bill Bradley's popularity is. Again, the demand for Bill Bradley, so that you understand why his card prices are coming down. As you can see, Bill Bradley only has 455 cards sold. That's well below the 10,000 mark, which means that no one is buying his cards. And so if you are selling a Bill Bradley card, please, would you just consider, if you don't want to sell it for what it's worth, would you please pull your listing down? I've been asking for the last couple weeks for everybody to actually pull off your listings. Stop running an eBay store if you actually don't want to sell your cards. The market has spoken. If you are taking offers, then you should take offers. If you don't like the offers, then take your listings down. Your cards are not selling. So hopefully that all helps. Let's get to section number 2 of this show. Since this is the last show for 2024, I figured I'd come on and let everybody know. If you don't know the news, yes, Sports Card Radio has retired. I know it's end of an era. Sports Card Radio has been around for over 10 years, probably closer to 20. They have been in the hobby for a very long time. They have more experience than I do on the sell side because they actually ran a sports card shop. I only was a sports card dealer at card shows. I never had the overhead, which like Jeff Wilson has with Cards HQ. And that's a whole different side of selling where there's a lot of pressure because if you don't sell enough product each and every month, you go in the hole and you go out of business, which is what happened to the Sports Card Radio brothers. What I want to say is thank you to Sports Card Radio for everything that you've done for the hobby. And in their last live stream, they talked about this. Yes, make the hobby great again. And so I thought I would come on and give 3 things that I think can make the hobby great again. So let's get into number 1. Yes, make the base set relevant again. Right now, there's a problem with the hobby because if you buy wax, you are wasting your money. And I don't even know why you would even buy base cards. Like, I don't even understand why kids would buy base cards. There's no point. The hobby has moved so far into this gambling lottery that they've made the base set and most cards that they manufacture worthless, like literally worthless. If you're collecting cards anywhere from 2017 to today, why are you buying worthless base? In fact, you're overpaying if you pay $1 per card. That's nuts. None of these cards are going to be worth $1 in the future, unfortunately. So here's the first thing that we need to do. 1, we need to get rid of the complete set. Yes, so at the end of the year, Topps, Panini, all these card manufacturers, they overprint complete sets. So that needs to be done. So which means that if you actually want a set, you have to buy the singles. That would be the best thing for the hobby. It brings things back to normal. Again, make the hobby great again. This is the way it used to be in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and even the 80s. It only came in the complete sets in the 90s, and that's when things just started to fall apart. We need to get rid of the complete sets, and at least that makes the base set somewhat relevant. It's not going to fix the issue, but it certainly doesn't hurt it either. Number 2, collectors got to be collectors again. If you are a collector, if you buy cards to hold on to them, and if you hold on to cards, you're a collector. You're not an investor. I know you want to say, I'm an investor. You're not an investor. If you hold on to cards, you're a collector. So just admit that. And collectors need to be collectors. So stop buying cards that you don't want to keep. If you hold on to cards longer than 6 months, you're a collector. So only buy the cards you want to keep. That will make the hobby great again because then you won't buy cards that you don't want. I don't know why you're creating mini hoards. Obviously, you're not going to get to my level. I had 8 million cards. You're not going to get to a hoard like that. But why are you creating mini hoards? Stop doing it. Collect what you want. Buy what you're going to keep. Stop buying what you don't want to keep. All right. Let's get to number 3, which is we need to demand registration of all sales. So if you want this to be an investment, like yes, if you want this to be a legit investment asset class, then we need to demand that all sales are registered somewhere. There needs to be a sales registry. In the stock market, all sales are registered with the stock exchange. If you buy and sell a stock, it's registered. There is a record of your sale. If you buy and sell real estate, that's registered at the county registrar's office. That's in every single state. The reason is because you need to keep track of sales. We don't have that in the sports card hobby. Now, I'm going to say this with a caveat. If you want this to be a legit investment, that's what you need to do. I personally don't think that's a smart idea, but that's also why I don't think this is an investment, because that means that your private sales need to be registered. You can't fake it, you can't hide it, you can't do any under the table deals anymore like all of the sports card influencers do. You can't do these fake sales. Now, one of the reasons why that's important is because, yes, we have seen on YouTube that influencers fake sales. They make up numbers and say, I bought this for X amount, I sold it for X amount. They're lying. They're all lying. Like, none of their sales are real. They're making them up for YouTube, and you're eating it up like it's candy. You're like, yeah, oh, wow, they made so much money. And oh my God, like, look at the deals they're making. It's all a lie. It's all a fantasy. None of it's real. And so what I hope that everybody understands is when there's no registration of sales, that means that all of the deals that happen on YouTube are fake. They're not real. None of these guys, none of them are making any money off sports cards. They're making money off their YouTube channel. They're making money off of sponsor deals. They're making money on the back end. They're not making money from cards. Hopefully that makes more sense, and that's why you're subscribed to this show, because I tell you the real truth and hopefully help the hobby build something better into the future. Was the hobby better back then? In all honesty, no, it wasn't better back then. The hobby always changes. And what's good is that the changes happen and that we get to decide as collectors, what do we like and what do we want to get rid of? There are certain things in the hobby that I like a lot, and I want you to let me know in the comments, do you like these things too? So one, I really like patch auto cards. I think it's an awesome innovation, and I really like the debut patch. Even though they're way too expensive and I will never own one, I like it a lot. What do you guys think? Do you like that new innovation in the hobby? Personally, I think it's great. What I don't like is I don't like these manufactured numbered cards because there's too many variations. If they just did one card, like if they made a new photo and they said, okay, this is going to be the numbered card for this set, and we're only going to have one series, so that means we're going to make a 1 of 5 of this card, and that's it. There's not going to be any more of it in a different color, in a sepia, in a black and white. Like, none of these variations. I think the variations are a problem. Why is everybody going to have a rainbow? Then your rainbow is not very special. And that's my point. If you want to make the base set relevant again, you need to stop with these variations. There's too many options. Less options means the hobby gets back to simpler times, and the cards that you buy are going to be worth more. If you really want to increase the value of your cards, you need less cards printed. Now, that doesn't mean that they should print less boxes or anything. It just means that base cards will be a certain amount, and then these parallels are only going to be limited to one each. That will put a floor on what wax prices are going to be worth, because you're going to be able to pull much more stuff out of the box. Again, if there's a 1 of 1 on every single variation, that means there's more chances to pull a 1 of 1. That's what the hobby is at this point. You need more 1 of 1s, but they need to be legit 1 of 1s. So the blue parallel is a 1 of 1. End of story. And that's my point. I think that you need to really figure out, like, an autograph card should probably not be a numbered card. They should just get rid of numbered autograph cards. They should get rid of numbered patch cards. It's a patch card. It is what it is. It's an autograph card. It is what it is. I think we need some consistency and standard operating procedures in the hobby. All autographs are 50. That's it. They're limited to 50. You can't go over 50 in a set. Therefore, especially with these sticker autos, you have to make a new card next year. You have to make a new card. If you want to put that player in, you have to make a new card. I think that the hobby really should expand the number of autographs that they have. A lot of players don't have autographs. Why? I think that all of these players, especially the older players, like the ones that are retired, I think that the Topps and Panini need to go to all of those older players and start getting their autographs on card and go, look, we want you to sign 50 cards. Here you go. And we're going to give you X amount of dollars. And that needs to get into the hobby, because if you're a fan, if you're a collector, you want some of the older players. It doesn't need to be 7,000 autographs being done. It just needs to be a little bit on a card, which is from the manufacturer. It means it's a certified autograph. We need the older players before they pass away to start signing cards. Wouldn't it be nice if Dave Parker had an autograph card in next year's set because he just got into the Hall of Fame? I think that would be awesome if we could get that kind of card. I think we need Fred McGriff autograph cards. I think we need all of these players signing cards with Topps, with Fanatics, with Panini, and start putting out their cards. Again, limited to 50 per set. I think we need to have an understanding from Fanatics, okay, the base set is going to be the base set. And I think that's the other thing we need to do. The base set should be the base card, the insert cards, and the special cards. No more autographs, no more parallels, no more, patch cards. Keep them out of the base set. When you get to Topps Chrome or whatever special sets they want to make, that's where all of this other stuff comes in, so that you have some relevance to the base set. You're just collecting the players, the rookie cards, the inserts, and the special cards. That's the base set. And leave it alone. That's been the hobby for hundreds of years. Then you can create these secondary sets, like the patch sets, like the parallel sets, like the Topps Chrome, like again, all of these other things. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think we need to start looking ahead at the future of the hobby. Hopefully all of these things make sense to everybody here. Please put your comments down. What do you think about these ideas? Let me know. And now let's get to your viewer comments. Once again, we are back to the viewer comment section. This is the best part of the show for me, so I hope and appreciate all of your comments here. What I want to say, though, before I get into the 3 comments that I have this week, is there is a real argument going on in my comment section right now between a bunch of different YouTubers that have been watching me. And they are going back and forth and yelling at each other and calling each other names. And I'm not going to highlight their stuff on this show, only because I don't want to give any more fuel to the fire. But if you want to see what's going on, just go to the comment section, and you will see that people are they're losing their minds. I don't know why. Again, some people are making stuff up about my channel, about what I've said. Clearly, they haven't watched all of my videos, so they're only seeing like 2 or 3 weeks and then saying like, oh, well, this is what he thinks. I've been on YouTube now for a couple years, so you can see everything that I think. There's a whole ton of playlists. You can watch everything. If you do, you get a good sense of where I'm coming from. So anyway, let's get to the first one. This is from an OG subscriber. This is Philly Joe, and here we go. This is what he says. Great episode. Really appreciate the detail and honesty encapsulated. I think he meant encapsulated. 10,000K to buy a collection. Are you a dealer flipper? Same difference to me, and expanding your hobby business. Thanks and looking forward to how I compare you versus my picks this week. Good luck and have a great one. Well, if you saw the video earlier this week, then you know I was horrible at my NFL picks. But you know what? That's why I don't gamble money on sports cards or on actual sports. If I go to Vegas, I put $20 down on one game, and that's the end of it. I don't do parlays. I don't gamble money because I like money. I don't like giving it away, especially to a casino. But anyway, so the reason why I'm buying a collection or why I'm allocating $10,000, I want to make that very clear. I'm allocating $10,000, which is money that I made from selling off my hoard. Now, again, the terms made is the issue. A lot of YouTubers and influencers, they kind of play fast and loose with words and with vocabulary. And I'm trying to be as direct, honest, and transparent as possible. And I think that's part of the issue is that I'm using the same words that they are. And so it looks like I'm doing something similar to what they're doing. I'm not. I'm like you guys. I am a normal human being. I am sane, I am rational, I am logical, and I am trying to build a PC. If you saw a video I did around about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, the thumbnail is YouTuber Q&A. So, you could go check it out. It's on my channel. Again, it's about a year and a half ago. And in there, I talk about that I think my PC, to get all the cards that I want, I'm going to have to spend around $20,000. Now, back then, some of these cards were worth more. So I think that I can still do that. If I allocate $20,000, I can get there. Now, I've already said that you should have a budget for the year. Now, my budget for 2025 is going to be $10,000. That's it. I'm not going over it. I'm not like that's it. That's what I'm doing this year. That's my goal. So I did not spend a lot last year. I didn't spend a lot like some years. So I've saved up money as well as what I made from selling the hoard. So I have $10,000 allocated to use. And the question is, what's the best way to use that money? How do I deploy that to get the cards I want? And from what I can see is that probably the best way is to start buying some people's collections. Nobody has 8 million cards out there. None of you have a hoard like that. So you're looking at a few thousand cards. And so some of you are selling a few thousand cards, which you can see on eBay. I've already done that search for you. Like, what am I looking at? There's somebody that was selling like 100 Ken Griffey Jr. cards, or actually 50 Ken Griffey Jr. cards. 89 Upper Deck, all graded. The problem is that they're trying to sell them for more than what they're worth. So, okay, I put it on my watch list. And if that person ever decides that they actually want to sell, that's something that I would buy. The reason is because I know I could flip that for X amount. I know what I can flip it for. Therefore, I know what I could pay for it. And what that would do is give me a little bit extra cash in order to get to that $20,000 mark. That's it. That's all it does. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just keep building a little bit here and there. Now, I also want to get cards that I will keep. I'm trying to build a PC. I'm not trying to run a store. I'm not trying to be a sports card business. I don't want to do that. You guys can do that. I don't want to do that. That's a waste of my time. I don't want to do that. Hopefully that's making sense to everybody that's watching this show. I don't want to sell cards. It's too much work, it takes too much time, and I'm not interested in that. So when I'm looking at collections, I'm looking at collections that are not going to be filled with junk. I want collections that have a couple cards that I would keep and then a few cards that I know I could sell. The reason why I want to sell a few cards is because I don't want to use all that $10,000 and get nothing back. So if I could spend, let's say there's a couple collections that I'm looking at right now, or, if a collection doesn't help you, maybe lots is a better way of saying it. But most of you don't have that many cards. So your lot is your whole collection. So again, you have to look at everything case by case, but that's my point. So if you're selling 1,000 cards and I'm going, I want 2 or 3 of these cards out of this collection, and I know I could sell 10 cards out of this collection, well, how much could I get back from those 10 cards that I'm going to sell? And that's how I'm figuring out what I could afford to pay. I'm keeping the couple cards. So what are those cards worth? And if I can spend a little bit less on those cards and then get more, get the money back from the other cards that I'm selling, then it makes it worth it to me. So let's say that I want to buy a card that's worth $500. It's in a collection. And so, but I can get the whole collection for $2,000. Okay. Can I make back $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 on the rest of the cards, which means that I only spent $400 on the card that I want, even though it's a $500 card. So I saved $100, plus I got to keep the card, plus I got the money back. So I can now deploy that cash to something else. And that's how you level up. You have to lower your costs on the cards you want to keep. You have to lower your costs. And the only way to do that is to sometimes pay for bigger collections. Yes, that means that I have to sell, but I'm not going anywhere in the hobby. So, okay, I will take the next year to buy and then sell stuff. So I have 12 months ahead of me to say, okay, I'm going to buy this, and then over the next year, I'm going to sell this. And I already have built relationships with different dealers and different people who want to buy cards because they're dealers. So I know how much they'll pay for cards, which means, okay, that's what I know I can sell it for. I already know the buyers and I already know what they're going to buy it for, which means that I have an idea of what I can spend. That's not becoming a flipper. That's just becoming a smart collector. Hopefully that's all that you guys are doing. Yes, if you want to not sell cards ever, which is the exact opposite of everything that I've been saying on this channel. I've been telling you, sell your cards. My point being is that you have to sell your cards, but you want to keep some of them. So if you can lower the cost of the ones you keep, you're doing better than you were before. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible, but I think some people they just have such a negative mindset. And folks, if you have a negative mindset, please put a comment down and just say, look, Doc, I have a negative brain. I think the world is going to hell in a handbasket. I hate everybody and I hate everything. And put it down in the comments. And maybe we can do a little webinar together where I can help you fix your brain, because hating everything is a bad idea. Being negative 100% of the time is dumb. Stop being dumb. My subscribers are very smart people, but smart people doesn't mean that you're positive. Smart people doesn't mean that you know what you're doing. It just means you have the IQ to figure it out. And some of you have stopped thinking. I don't know what's going on in the world, but some of you don't have a brain that you don't want to use. Stop doing that. Think for yourself. All right, let's get to the second one. So this is from Ivan Matos 7134. All right, this is what he says. Enjoy your show for the honest opinions. As a Nick, I'm assuming Nick fan, I agree with you that MJ is the GOAT. MJ is the best basketball player ever. Sorry. I know a lot of people are like, no, LeBron James. No, LeBron James ain't the best. All right. I have collected over 20 cards with MJ and another Hall of Famer in his card, or Jordan in theirs. Sometimes we have to collect out of the box, especially when that rookie card ain't affordable. Again, great show. Actually, that is a great point. And I wanna actually highlight that right now. So give me a sec. I don't collect just rookie cards. And I think that might be the mistake for a lot of people in the hobby that just get into it. Because the rookie cards are always worth more than the other cards, except if you do RPAs and you do patch cards and you do auto cards. That's what really fluctuates the value. But most of the time, the most valuable card of a player is their rookie card. And if you're collecting way after the player has already retired, sometimes their rookie card is really out of reach for a normal human being. And so here's one of the examples. Pete Rose, who just passed away, his rookie card is really expensive. And to be quite honest with you, I don't need his rookie card. First of all, I don't even like that rookie card. It's 4 little heads. I'm not a fan of the 1963 rookie card for Pete Rose. But this is my best Pete Rose card, which I do like in my PC. So that's the 64, second year, but I like it. Like, that's the card that I like for vintage for Pete Rose. And so that's in my PC. I got a couple more examples. Louis Tion, great pitcher, amazing character in baseball history. Don't have his rookie card. Here you go. So I don't have his rookie card. I got this one. I don't have Dave Winfield's rookie card. I have this one. And I don't have Reggie Jackson's rookie card. I have this card. So my point being is that you don't have to collect just the rookies. And I really appreciate it, Ivan Matos, for that comment, because I think as a collector, you have to make your own decisions. How much money do you want to spend? How can you make your dollar go further with the amount of cards that you can get? And what cards are you going to keep? It's really important, and I hope that everybody that's subscribed to this channel understands that I want you to spend more time this year on actually looking at the cards you have, you already own. Go through them. Stop buying cards for the first few months of this year. Don't buy anything. Go through the cards that you have. Find out, figure out, what do you want to keep? What are the cards that you're going to put away? These are my cards. I'm keeping these cards. These are my collection. I'm putting them down. Here, 1, 2, 3. No one can touch those. Those go into my case. And I put the case away. And every so often I go in and I make sure like all the cards are in order. I do it by year. So okay, these are the 62s, these are the 63s, these are the 64s. But I'm just saying that that's my point. You have to decide what are you keeping, and then everything else you need to get rid of. And I understand what you're saying. Oh, I don't want to get rid of it. What if, what if, what if? No, that's why you should spend time and really look at the stuff you want to keep. Spend time. Think about it. Yes, take a week and go, do I really want this card? Do I really, really want this card? What would happen if I got rid of it? What would happen if I traded it? What happens if I sell it? Would I be upset if I didn't have this card? Think about that. Don't think about what more cards do I want. No. Think about the cards you already have. Really dive down into what you want to keep. Create your collection. Curate your collection. That's what 2025 is going to be all about. Curating the things you keep and then separating them out and then get rid of the stuff you don't want. Be a collector. Be a collector, just like me. You're going to be happier. You're going to love what you have, and you're not going to spend every dime that you earn. I don't want that to happen. I don't want you to go bankrupt on sports cards. It's ridiculous. Here's the last comment, and this one is really good, so hopefully you stayed to the end. So here we go. This is from Matthew Bloss, 4131. And also wanted to add, there is a lot of influencers and YouTubers giving us the down low, an inside look and honest information. But I believe what you say is more genuine than anything I've heard as far as the hobby, business, investment, all sides are concerned. They always withhold something. Matthew, you couldn't be any more correct than you are. You're right. They do withhold a lot of information. Now, what I want to make this clear for anybody that's at this point of the show is if you don't know something, and if you feel like I haven't said something, or you think that I'm withholding information, ask the question. Ask the follow-up question. That's kind of the point. If I say something and you're like, wait a minute, I don't understand that, ask the follow-up question in the comments. Hey, you said this. Did you mean this, or what do you mean? And then I will come on and I will give you my further take on what it is that I was saying. I don't know what you don't know. I don't know what you don't know. You may not even know what you don't know, which is kind of the problem with being human, is that we go based on our assumptions, our stereotypes of what we think is going on, which is why sports card influencers can so easily manipulate us, because we assume we know more than we do. That is every single human being. I always, unfortunately, assume I know more than I do, which is why I always stop before I make a decision and go like this. What don't I know? I don't know if you know that. Obviously, I just told you, so you didn't know that before. But that's my point, is that my operating procedure, my SOP, is before I make any decision, I stop and ask myself that question, what don't I know? Because if I don't do that, I end up usually getting myself into trouble. I usually end up overpaying for something, because I go on assumptions like everybody else. And what you should do is stop doing that. You can't prevent yourself from having assumptions. You can't prevent yourself from having stereotypes. That's what humans do. We are built on stereotypes. That's how we keep things organized in our world. That's the basis of human psychology. We have to build stereotypes in order to work in the universe. What do we feel we know? The problem is when you lean too heavily into assumptions and stereotypes, you end up getting it wrong. So I don't like making bad decisions. I don't know anybody that does, but a lot of people make a lot of bad decisions, and I want to prevent from myself making bad decisions. The only way I can do that is to actually stop before I make the decision and ask the question, what don't I know? And that's when I go, okay, I don't really know. So let's take, for example, buying a 1963 Pete Rose rookie card. Okay, why would I buy that card? And the answer for me as a collector is there is no reason that I would buy a 1963 Pete Rose card. There's no reason for it. Why do I need it? I don't. Do I want to collect Pete Rose? Yes, he's the best hitter in the history of the game. He has more hits than anyone else in the history of the game. And he's also one of the most controversial figures in the history of baseball. So clearly, I want to keep a Pete Rose card in my collection. But I don't need his rookie. Yes, the rookie is the most valuable card, but what does that have to do with my collection? And that's the thing that you should be doing for your own collection, is asking those questions. Why do you need this card? If you're building a PC that's only rookies, you have to ask your question, why? Why am I building a PC of just rookie cards? Why am I doing that? I don't know. If you have a legit reason for it, then that's the collection that you're doing. I don't need a collection of rookie cards. I don't see the point of it. Like who am I impressing? And I think that's the other thing that all of you probably should start thinking about is, why are you doing sports cards in the first place? If this is not a personal enjoyment, like if you don't get enjoyment for yourself out of collecting sports cards, then I don't know what you're doing. If you're trying to impress someone, I don't know who you're trying to impress. Are you trying to impress the sports card influencers? They don't care about you at all. If you're trying to impress me, you don't need to do it. I met somebody who had a collection of Shawn Kemp cards. Now, I don't collect Shawn Kemp cards, but their collection was quite impressive. They had all of the inserts and all of the special cards and stuff that I had never seen before. And I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Now, how much did they spend on all of those cards? Unfortunately, they overspent on them because some of these special cards cost money. And so, I don't know, they spent like thousands of dollars on these cards. overall, not on each specific card. Overall. Now, would I have spent that money on it? No. But that person got so much enjoyment from it that it was worth every penny to them. And I definitely was impressed with their collection. But if you're trying to impress other people, that might be a problem. And you should probably be aware of that. Why are you in this hobby to impress someone else? That's not the point of a collection. You should do this for yourself. Get personal fulfillment, personal happiness. Do this because you like collecting cards. If you don't like collecting cards, then I honestly think you should stop buying cards. And then the question becomes, okay, if you're not a collector, okay, then what are you doing with sports cards? Well, at that point, you're running a business. You can call yourself a flipper, you could call yourself a dealer, it doesn't matter. If you are buying cards to sell them, and that's the whole point of what you're doing, then you're a business. You're a side business, or you're a part-time business. Or if you have a shop, then you are a full-time business, like Chasing Cardboard. He does this as a full-time living. Now, I don't know exactly how much he makes from his cards. I'm just going to say, I doubt he makes a lot of money. He obviously makes enough to keep it going, but I don't think that he makes enough money to retire. And I think that's sort of the issue that a lot of people get themselves into trouble, is thinking like, oh, I can just make a lot of money doing sports cards. No, you can't. Even Card Collector 2 is not making hand over fist profits from sports cards. He makes enough money to make his shop work and to also make his whatnot work. He probably makes more money off of whatnot than he does off of his sports card shop, which is probably a problem. But again, he's probably also getting sponsor deals, and he's got advertising deals, and he's got like a whole bunch of other stuff that supplement. There's other revenue streams, and I think that's something that everybody in the sports card hobby needs to start being aware of. That you can't just have one revenue stream. If the only money you make is from selling sports cards, you're in trouble. Not because you're not good at it, not because you don't know like what cards to buy and what cards to sell and when to buy and when to sell. It has nothing to do with that. The sports card hobby is very volatile. It goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. And players go up and go down. And the demand for different players moves so fast that if you don't adapt, you get stuck with cards that are now not worth anything. So you really have to, if you're a flipper, you have to make margin real fast. So if you're buying cards, let's say you buy 10 cards for $10 each, you need to sell them at 20 like that, so that now the cards that don't sell, you're at zero cost. And that's when you can clearance them for less, because you just need to get rid of them. And it's pure profit at that point. Again, it's not a lot of profit, but you have to get rid of them. Otherwise, you're holding on to inventory. That's cash that you don't have cash for. And can you trade those cards? No, you cannot trade those cards. Nobody wants the cards that are not in high demand. And that's what everybody keeps getting stuck on. Nobody wants the cards that are not in high demand. And if your PC is starting to become like a quasi-inventory store, you're playing this wrong. Why are you trying to be the mini Burbank sports cards of the sports card hobby? That's a dumb idea. Don't do that. Collect the cards that you like. Don't collect the cards you don't like. Sell them off. Get rid of them. Do not hold them. Do not create a hoard. Hopefully in 2024, these are my last words for you. I want to wish everyone a happy new year, a Merry Christmas, a happy Hanukkah, and I will see you in 2025. If you haven't hit the subscribe button at this point, do it now, because why not? You should be a part of this community. And if you haven't seen all the comments, go down below. I'm telling you, there's a whole melee going on in the comments. I will see you in the new year. This is Doc saying, have a good one.